All right, we're back in the engine room for more maintenance and more service. Today's tasks are getting the transmission oil changed again and flushing out some more contaminants that were found on the oil report. We're going to be rebuilding the RACORs for the primary fuel filters on the main engines, getting the generator oil changed. Same thing, kind of flushing out some contaminants, oil change, oil filter. Alright, for servicing and filter changes on the RACOR, this particular one is a 900 series MA. T-handle off the top, the lid, and on the bottom there is a drain, which is actually clogged because there's so much debris in there from the fuel tank. So, gonna get that drained out, and I'll show you how to disassemble it and how to put it all back together. Alright, once you have the bowl pretty much drained down, to remove this assembly, it's just 4 bolts. They're the 3/8 flavor, and they shouldn't be too tight. You're going to want to make sure you don't lose them. And I cannot believe the sludge inside of here. Like I said earlier, the filters are doing their job, but holy crap. I can't wait to get this apart and really look inside of there. Fortunately, the filter element themselves looked pretty good, and there's about 40 hours on the filter from the boat ride home from North Carolina. As I say, don't lose the screws and literally just drop one into the abyss. Perfect. That kind of gross. Should just unscrew. We can take this off to clean, because this is just a piece of plastic. Oh, hello. There is a check ball in there, so make sure that goes back. But we'll clean this up. We'll just wipe these things off, make sure everything's clean, and that can get reinstalled. So, RACOR bowl kit for the 900 and 1000 series, RK111-160-6-1. This is going to come with a new bowl, instructions that we don't need, a new gasket for the bowl, and new drain plugs and gaskets to put the metal heat shield. Alright, so once you have the turbine part clean, the check ball is in here. And for the 900 and 1000 series, the lip needs to go up. For whatever reason, that's the case. So check ball's in there, the red gasket, lip up, and we'll go ahead and screw that back into place. Alright, so with the turbine part on, assembling the bowl is pretty straightforward. We have a plug here, because this particular setup does not have a water sensor or anything like that. That's typically what that port is used for. Just clean everything out really good, even though this is technically the dirty side, but hey, we're going to all this trouble. It should at least be clean. Not too tight there. We have an O-ring that'll go in the groove on the bottom of the housing, and that usually will just sit nice enough up there. Well, take that back. With the O-rings being challenging, what I've done in the past that usually works is I'll put some oil on the O-ring just to kind of make it a little bit sticky. And that usually will get it to stay in there. And I see you need to be quick with it. Stay. I'm going to just take this apart, clean it. It goes through the bowl first, then drop the green O-ring, and then drop the rubber O-ring on it like that, and then that's how it should look. Get this out of the way. And should just thread right back in the bottom here. And I do want to caution that this is plastic, so there's probably no reason to go not so tight. This is still turning by hand. Okay, O-ring's in place. You can see it's still sitting up there nicely. Alright, get the second bolt in here. So the little water probe sensor plug is tight. We don't have one of those on this installation. Going to just snug these up by hand. And we verified the gasket was in good shape. So get those kind of snugged up. RACOR mentions in the instructions to not go crazy with these bolts. So I get them all hand tight. I'll take the ratchet and just barely till I feel some tension on them. And that's really all I'll give it, because it's a plastic bowl, it's got a rubber O-ring, and they say if you go nuts on it, it'll warp or crack. So just barely snug. 4.5 foot-pounds torque there, so not much at all. I mean, alright, so that's how it was there. Next we have our fuel filter. So that just goes right in the top. Like so. It does come with a new lid gasket and a little red O-ring for the T-handle. You know, a pick, or actually the knife worked better there, just thinner to get around the edge. So new O-ring for the lid. This slides right into the groove there. So that's ready to go. And now I'm just gonna fill it up with diesel to ease priming. Alright, so we're topped off there. Of course, this diesel's from the gas station, so it is not cherried flavor. Lid. Just take off the old O-ring. Again, a knife or screwdriver seems to work best. Get that O-ring off. Maybe. Right, old O-ring off. New O-ring on. Just kind of wind it down. It's got a groove at the bottom. Threader on in. And that should be it. That's always a workout. Definitely recommend electronic fuel primer pumps. It's definitely really nice. Now that we got some air out of there, top it back off. All right. Well, I think that's about the process of changing the fuel filter element, changing the bowl, cleaning the turbine, reinstalling the gasket, check ball, little red O-ring, reinstalling the metal heat shield and safety shield, not a drip pan, but it's for flames, some CFR, something. But I think we are good to go on the RACORs. We are doing belts on a generator, and this has been the easiest belt job I have ever done, and that would be a lie. So this generator has the sound shield enclosure on it, and I know I've talked to a couple people on the forums about just ditching it, and it's halfway off, and I'm really questioning if it's going to go back on. I'm going to run it, in the boat with the main engines off and see how loud it is when all of this is complete. But I had to take all these parts off just to get reasonable access to the alternator, which is, back here, to get that bolt loose and the other adjusting bolt loose. I can't even get the camera in there. Down here to loosen up the alternator to slide the first belt off, and then also the water pump needs to be loosened. I believe it's actually down here, and there's no way you're going to get a wrench in there without taking this enclosure off. So I'm going to get both these belts replaced. Well, that was a blast. Ended up having to take off 3 of the 4 10mm bolts that hold the water pump bracket to the generator. Between that and the 2 1/2-inch bolts to loosen up the water pump in the bracket, finally got the belt off so I can get the big alternating water pump, coolant water pump belt off and put stuff back together. I don't know how you would do that with the cover on. Maybe you're just supposed to semi-disassemble the cover anytime you need to do something, but that was ridiculous. For reference, the belt that came off was GM 13660. This is for the raw water pump. The belt they sent me in a Kohler package is a TrueFlex 1260 or 3L260. You might be able to cross-reference that for other belts if you ever need it in a pinch. But this is what came in the Kohler bag. A little different in the case of the coolant pump. The belt that I took off, Mitsubishi, like RECMF 1360. But I did get the replacement Kohler again, which is an actual Kohler part number. Who knows who it's actually made by, but 363064, and this is for the coolant and alternator belt. Maybe hard to tell on camera, but the V belt I took off is a bit more narrow, and I think it's actually worn down a good bit. Yeah, a little bit. But what had happened is the alternator was not tight enough and the belt was slipping pretty bad. So I could have probably just tightened the alternator up or the tension, but you know what? Let's get new belts in here so I don't have to worry about it for hopefully a long time. All right, the belts are replaced and it's not squealing anymore and everything's spinning and tension per instruction. So I'm gonna go outside the engine room, close the hatch, kind of see how it sounds. I'm gonna start the video loud and obnoxious like this. I'm gonna go inside the boat. So, start here. All right, so to me, that's really not even not even that loud. Excuse the mess. So I was just measuring low 40s to upper 40 decibels inside the boat between all the bedrooms, and they labeled that as a quiet room. Obviously you can hear the generator running, but it's really not that bad. And it was about 60 decibels with the engine hatch open. It's just not that loud to me. And I mean, if we're at the sandbar, we're gonna have music going and the air conditioning's running. I was having a hard time justifying the sound shield right now. I mean, I'm not going to throw away the sound shield, but until I do a full, complete service on the generator, all the cooling lines and thermostat and all those things, it's definitely not going to go back on. So I will at least store it for a while, and then I may or may not put it back on. We're got a multi-step project today. We got the door that finally came in. Long story, explain later, maybe not. Gonna also replace the vents. This one's for the diesel tank, which is kind of just outboard of that light and kind of up where it's shining. I had to move the vents out of the way, just kind of push them. I got the new brass chrome plated ones from the West Marine. What I might try to do, I might cut off the nipple and use the check valve that was existing, and I wanted to do any modifications to the hose, so I might just yeet one of those off and try it. This little vent was only $6, so might just take the Dremel and zip that off and give that a shot. Well, I did an absolutely terrible job of filming, but this project is actually complete and it fits pretty nice. It definitely took a lot of trial and error getting the screws around, you know, to kind of be in the right position, because I had the company that I got this from give me a really narrow bezel because I didn't have much room between where this was starting to curve up and down there and where that radius started. So the bezel's kind of flimsy, but it serves a purpose once it's all screwed down nice and tight. But because of that, I really had to watch how the door got cockeyed and make sure it was going to shut nice and all that before I just blasted all the holes. I kind of did one at a time, fitted, moved things around, and I definitely suggest keeping the door in, even though it's easier to kind of get the frame set with the door out. But this frame kind of got cattywampus really easily, so definitely have the door in and tight, and then go around one by one and make sure each hole is in the right spot. But that project, really happy with that. Gonna have plenty of storage space for all my shenanigans. Yes, I did have to blow a giant hole for the latch, but you know, that's kind of how most projects go. I swear, I just have to cut holes into things, and I hate doing that. I did get this vent in for the diesel tank. I wanted to get that done because I don't want to take that out again for a long time if possible. And then I still have to do the freshwater tank vent, but I should be able to get to that from where the air conditioning is. I moved a lot of water for the heat and air conditioning, but I tried out the anchor windlass the other day. It works pretty well. It did get jammed up on me, so I'm going to have to probably take all that out, clean the chain, resplice the anchor rod and all that. But we are trying to get ready for summer, but making really good progress. The other day I finished getting all the outriggers restrung, so that was another task. I had to have my buddy help me get the very last eyelet way up there done. I just pulled the boat back all the way to his, and then he got up on the hard top and was able to get that last bit put together. If you can, hit that subscribe button for me for many more videos to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.